Alright, this is a video, I've mentioned this before many times, but I'll reiterate it. Alright, this is a video for the morons who call themselves developers but who are actually programmers, who consider that changing things all the time is a good idea. So imagine if every single time you got into your car, some moron had come into your car while you were gone and changed it. They had moved the position of the accelerator pedal. They had put a fun gear knob where your ordinary gear knob used to be. They had changed your steering wheel for an array of potatoes because they thought it was a good idea in your car. The car you've been using for years and you knew exactly the feel of, you knew exactly how to use. That is exactly what it is like when these morons change stuff in software and add stuff you don't need because they think it's pretty. And I'll tell you exactly what the truth is, right? I was just using Google image search, reverse image search. I wanted to look up something. I can't use that thing anymore. I simply can't use it because some absolute idiot thinks that animating the thing makes it pretty and usable. I cannot conceive of the stupidity of that, alright? People don't want, as a norm, extra crap. Alright? They want something to be simple and functional and to do what it's supposed to do. When I get on my bicycle, I don't want it to have wings that don't do anything. I don't want it to have added crap all over it that doesn't do anything except for it might make someone else think it looks pretty. Alright? I just want the thing to do what I want it to do. Google reverse image search used to do exactly what it was meant to do. It used to reverse search for images. You put an image on, no, now you put it in, some moron thinks that you want it all animated and all over the place. What kind of fool would do that? What kind of idiot? I can't understand the absolute depth of stupidity that you need in order to think that people who are trying to observe something want it to move around the frickin' screen. What kind of moron would come up with such stupidity? If I'm sitting reading a book, do you really think that I want pages flying all over the desk in front of me? It's irritating. How can these morons not understand? Here's an example. Pop-ups. I bet you the number one downloaded extension for Google Chrome is AdBlock. You know why? Because people don't like crap flying across the screen when they're trying to do something. Yet you morons, even people designing a function on Google Chrome, add crap flying across the screen when you're using the thing. I can't understand the stupidity of it. It's absolute insanity. How the hell do you expect someone to not get irritated when you're moving stuff around that they're looking at? How can you possibly design such rubbish? So every time I want to search for an image, it's all over the place and it's just a pain in the backside. And when I say an image, the image search is fine, but the reverse image search. Why? Because someone was left alone too long and was told, do something interesting. Won't that be wonderful? Now this highlights the massive, vast chasm that has emerged between the user of anything nowadays and the person producing it. Companies don't listen. They don't listen and they don't want to listen. And as a result, there is a massive divergence between the customer's expectations and having their needs met and the person producing the service or product. It's a vast chasm and it needs to be bridged through listening to the customer. Now this is the fundamental point here, okay? The customer is always right, right? That phrase didn't come from thin air. It came from the fact that anyone providing a service does so that they can meet the customer's desires and needs and wants. It is not in any way at all necessary for the person providing the service to be pleased with the service they've provided. That may sound messed up, but it is the absolute truth. If the person designing the software thinks, oh, look how wonderful this software I've produced is. Oh, look at this wonderful function I've produced. Isn't it wonderful? It doesn't matter how he feels about what he's produced. It matters not at all. It only matters what the user wants. But we've got such a chasm between the user and the service provider or the designer now that the designers are sitting there thinking that they are the ones that need to be pleased. Oh, I'll make this look pretty because I think it looks good. And the rest of the world is sitting there looking at the software they've produced going, how do I get rid of this crap? How do I get rid of this nonsense that this moron has attached to something that used to be functional? And that's the situation we have. That's a situation I face every day. And I'm sure billions of other people feel the same way. They're just like, why are they changing this stuff all the time? Why can't they just leave it the way it was? And if they want to change something, why don't they make it optional? Why a purely functional system like Windows used to be and Google used to be, these people are out of control. They're just putting fluffy crap all over it. It's finished, it's done, it's functional, leave it alone. Every time I go to use the computer, someone has messed it up. I try and use something, oh, I've got to undo their nonsense. Web design, same problem. I don't need to be spoon-fed what is clearly in front of me. It is insulting and irritating in the extreme. There is a little applet that someone designed, right, called Kill Sticky, which gets rid of sticky headers. Some other genius creation by some idiot who was sat down for too long looking at a website thinking, how can I make it better? When the truth is, you can't. So every time a website has a sticky header on it, when you scroll down, you can't get rid of this thing flicking in and out of what you're looking at. Because some moron thought it was a really nice idea. Guess what? When I'm reading a book, I don't want the title page coming in and out of the page that I'm reading because it's irritating. And I will demonstrate how normal it is to know that that's irritating, because libraries, although in Britain they've currently been ruined by having all manner of nonsense occur in libraries and indeed studies exist so that people don't have extraneous nonsense to deal with when they're focusing on learning and taking in information. Okay? That's why people don't sit in the circus and study. The internet web design has now become a circus. A circus of idiots who think their desire to produce something great is more important than the function of the bloody thing. Remember, form follows function. No, not anymore. These idiots are going, form, 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 form. Function is a distant second. This is the ABCs of design. It is the most fundamental thing. The customer is always right. That's the person you're designing for, not you. It doesn't matter if you like what you've produced. It doesn't matter at all. And that's very sad for you. You're going to have to find yourself another way of feeling good. But it ain't going to come from what you're producing being what you want it to be. It can only be from it can only come from it being what the customer wants it to be. Keep it simple. Stop adding all this nonsense to it. It's fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. These principles are just so simple. Form follows function. Is that 4 principles now? These are core, key design principles that have been thrown out the window because there is a massive gap between the producer of the item and the recipient. This is very simple, and it's affecting people every single day. It affects me. It irritates me to the point where I want to make video after video after video about it, because I want the message to get out. Somehow, some way, to someone who will think, oh, maybe the design principles that have been fundamental to design for over 100 years, maybe they're actually worth listening to. That's what we really want. Intelligence. Instead of this irrational chaos that's happening. The internet was really useful up until about 2005. And then it just became a circus of nonsense. Google got too big for its boots and decided, we're going to try and control the world. We're going to try and influence everyone to think a certain way. We're going to try and manipulate them using our power. And maybe they were leaned on by other people who said, hey, you've got this power, you can use it for blah blah blah. Oh, look how wonderful, let's do that, instead of listening to the customer. And as a result, they stopped listening to the customer and they only listen to themselves. And they sit there in their little meeting rooms going, oh, well, I wonder what we can do to make it better. And the rest of the world's going, leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone. And they're sat there deaf to it. They are completely sealed off from the rest of the world, who's saying, don't mess with it anymore. Stop changing the damn thing. And they're sitting there, oh, how can we change it today? Because they're deaf. They are deaf to what is being shouted at them. And most people don't, I don't know, most other people don't make videos about it to communicate this. They just fume and they just get annoyed with it. This stuff has to be changed. I mean, this is absolutely pure, absolute truth. Those fundamental principles have to be followed, otherwise design goes down the pan. It goes out, it's ruined. These principles are key to business, to everything. If you don't listen to the person who is the recipient of what you're trying to give them, it's like going to a restaurant and then you order a steak medium rare and the chef says, oh no, and he's French apparently, I want to do this, I want to do it well done. So he brings you a well done steak and you say, I wanted it medium rare. And the chef's sitting there going, no, you will have it well done, because that's how I want to do. It doesn't matter what the chef wants, it matters what the customer wants. And that restaurant will go out of business because the chef's opinion on what the customer wants doesn't matter. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chef, it doesn't matter. If you want to produce what you want to produce and force people to enjoy it, fine. But that's not going to work in business. It can't work. Because people will just go, oh, that chef, he's good, but he won't produce what I want. That chef over there is good, and he will. And it's impossible that they'll say, I'll stick with the guy who... Why would they do that? They won't do it. They will vote with their feet. The problem we have now is that things like companies like Google are too big. And Microsoft is too big. And the alternatives aren't actually up to scratch. I mean, it was bad enough with Apple. I never use Apple. Man, I avoid Apple like the plague. I've never liked that whole thing. It's just too controlled. It's like, don't do anything. You're stupid. That's what the ethos of Apple was, to my mind. Don't try and do anything with your own computer. It's all done for you. You're stupid. I don't like that. It's rude. And the other alternative is Linux, which is nothing at all is done for you. I am still not used to that yet. But anyway, this I don't know, man. We have to change this. There has to be a complete overhaul of internet and web design courses, because I bet on day one they're like, alright, how do you change everything? And they should be like, how do you keep it the way it is? And I'm sure those courses would disappear because they're unnecessary. The internet, web design, software design has peaked. Leave it alone. That's the message.